Hey guys, Elegance here, and in these videos we are going to understand the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey. After watching these videos, you should be able to adapt these highest qualities of habits and achieve a success to your life. I used to have a perspective that knife is a tool for violence. My mind automatically thinks it is a tool used for killing. After reading these books, I understand surgeons see this as a tool to save thousands of lives. Different people see things in different perspectives. Covey believed that the way we see the world is entirely based on our own perceptions. In order to change a given situation, we must change ourselves. And in order to change ourselves, we must be able to change our perceptions. The way we see the problems is the problems. We must allow ourselves to undergo paradigm shifts. This book is based on 3 stages to reach full maturations. Habits 1, 2, and 3 are focused on self-mastery and moving from dependence to independence. Habits 4, 5, and 6 are focused on developing teamwork, collaborations, and communications skills, moving from independence to interdependence. Habit 7 is focused on continuous growth and improvements, which embodies all the other habits. The first habit that Covey discusses is being proactive. You should be familiar with the stories of the ant and the grasshoppers. During the good old times, the ants busy harvesting the food before the winter, and the grasshopper is taking his own sweet times procrastinating. At the end, the ant enjoyed what he harvested during the winters, and the grasshopper died in hunger. Reactive people take a passive stance. They believe that the world is happening to them. They say things like, "There is nothing I can do. There is just the way I am." They think the problem is out there, but that thought is the problem itself. Reactive people feel increasingly victimized and out of control. Proactive people, however, recognize that they have responsibilities, also known as responsibility, which Covey defines as the ability to choose how you will respond to a given stimulus or situations. In order to be proactive, we must choose on the circles of influence that lies within our circles of concerns. In other words, we must work on the things we can do some things about. The positive energy we exert will cause our circles of influence to expand. Reactive people, on the other hand, focus on things that are in the circles of concerns but not in the circles of influence, which leads to blaming external factors and causing their circles of influence to shrink. We choose the scripts by which to live our lives. Use this self-awareness to be proactive and take responsibilities for your choices. Simply put this, in order to be effective, one must be proactive. Habit 2 suggested that in everything we do should begin with the end in mind. Start with a clear destination. That way, we can make sure the steps we are taking in the right directions. Thomas Edison, an American inventor, had more than 1,000 US patents to his name. As a young boy in school, his mind often wandered, and his teachers told him that he was too stupid to learn anything. Edison's greatest achievement is the light bulb. He was most famous for the following quotes given to his persistence in developing the light bulb. Edison sees his goals clearly and hold them in mind until it becomes second nature. We can use our imaginations to develop a vision of what we want to become and use our conscience to decide what values will guide us. Everything is created twice. First in the mental creations, then as a result becoming a physical creations. Our personal statements affect us fundamentally. They determine our daily decisions, actions, and motivations, as well as our interpretations of events. Once we determine our values and understanding what to achieve, Habit 3 is all about going after these goals and executing on our priorities. In order to manage ourselves effectively, we must put first thing first. Take a look at this time management metric. Quadrant 2 is at the heart of effective personal management. We must base on what is most important, not what is most urgent. Imagine this jar as our life. Say, Quadrant 2 represents the golf balls, the important things like preventions, plannings, and improvements. Quadrant 1 is the pebbles, things that are urgent like crisis and pressing problems. Quadrant 3 is the sand, those interruptions that perceive urgent like phone calls and meetings. Quadrant 4 is the beer, which is the small stuff like time wasters and pleasant activities. We need to put the biggest or important things first in our life. If you put the beer or sands into the jar first, there is no room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same goes for life. In order to focus our time in Quadrant 2, we have to learn how to say no to other activities, sometimes ones that seems urgent. We also need to be able to delegate effectively. Plus, when we focus on Quadrant 2, it means we are thinking ahead, working on the roots, and preventing crises from happening in the first place. Next, we move into interdependence relationships. THINKWIN-WIN is to create situations that are mutually beneficial and satisfying to each party. Covey explains that there are few paradigms of human interactions. Number 1, win-win. Agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial and satisfying to both parties. Number 2, win-lose. People are prone to use positions, power, credentials, and personalities to get their ways. Then we have lose-wins. People are quick to please and appease and seek strength from popularities or acceptance. Next, we have lose-lose. This is when two win-lose people get together. When two determined and stubborn individuals interact, the results will be lose-lose. The last one will be win-win or no deals options. These options is important to use as a backup. When we have no deal as an option in our minds, it liberates us from needing to manipulate people and push our own agenda. The best options is to create win-win situations. With win-lose or lose-wins, one person appears to get what he wants for the moment, but the result will negatively impact the relationships between those two people going forwards. I used to be skeptical between win-win and win-lose. Suppose we have a cake deal. When I win, my partner lose. I get the whole cake, right? And with win-win, I only get half of the cake. However, in the long run, win-lose partner will never do another deal with you again. Win-win partner on another side will continue to deal with you again, end up getting more than just one cake you originally think. This is important factors in solving for win-win situations by maintaining an abundance mentality, or the belief that there is plenty out there for everyone. Most people operate with the scarcity mentality, meaning they act as though everything is zero-sum. People with the scarcity mentalities have a very hard time sharing recognitions or credits and find it difficult to be genuinely happy about the other people's success. When it comes to interpersonal leaderships, the more genuine our character is, the higher our level of proactivity. The more committed we are to win-win, the more powerful our influence will be. Habit 7 says that we must seek first to understand, then to be understood. Before we can offer advice, suggest solutions, or effectively interact with another person in any way, we must seek to deeply understand them and their perspective through empathy listening. Let's say you go to an optometrist and tell him that you have been having trouble seeing clearly, and he takes off his glasses, hands them to you and says, "Hey, try this. They have been working for me for years." You put them on but then they only make the problem worse. Unfortunately, we do the same things in our everyday interactions with others. We prescribe solutions before we diagnose the problem. We don't seek to deeply understand the problems first. To listen empathically requires a fundamental paradigm shift. We typically seek first to be understood. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. At any given moment, they are either speaking or preparing to speak. Communications expert estimates that 10% of our communications is represented by our words, 30% is represented by our sounds, 60% is represented by our body language. We are given 2 eyes to see, 2 ears to listen, but only 1 mouth to speak, so that we can understand 4 times as we speak. The 6th habit is Synergize. By understanding and valuing the differences in another person's perspective, we have the opportunities to create synergy, which allows us to uncover new possibilities through openness and creativities. The combinations of all the other habits prepare us for habit number 6, which is the habits of synergies, means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Say for examples, a bar of irons, chromiums and nickels of the same size will break at about 60,000 psi, 70,000 psi and 80,000 psi. If we mix into 1 bar of irons, chromiums and nickels, it will withstand 210,000 psi, right? Not really. The resulting bar of metals will withstand 300,000 psi. Subtracting 210,000 psi from 300,000 psi, we are left 90,000 psi that it seems to have appeared from nowhere. The metals together are 43% stronger than they are separately, and that is synergy. Synergies allow us to create new alternatives and open new possibilities. The real essence of synergies is valuing the differences. So, the next time you see someone with different perspective, seek to understand their concerns, because this will lead to third alternatives for a better result. The habit 7 is focused around renewals, or taking time to sharpen the sword. It's around all of the other habits and make each one possible by preserving and enhancing your greatest asset, which is yourself. Feeling good doesn't just happen. You need to take necessary time to create growth and change in your life. Warren Buffett credits his great money decisions to his voracious reading habit. 80% of his time is spent on reading. To be effective, we must devote the time to renewing ourselves physically, spiritually, mentally, and socially. I call these 4 pillars of life. Each must be exercised regularly and in a balanced way. Physical pillar is the goals for continuous physical improvement to exercise our body in a way that will enhance our capacities to work, adapt, and enjoy. To be physically healthy, we must eat healthy, get sufficient rest, and go to the gym, like exercising on a regular basis. Spiritual pillar involve connecting with your sense of meanings and purpose. To renew yourself spiritually, practice daily meditations, communicate with nature, immerse yourself in a great literature or music. Mental pillar is renewing our mental health to continue expanding our mind. To keep your minds sharp, read good books, keep a journal of your thoughts, experiences, and insights. Play puzzles that stimulates your minds like Sudoku, crosswords, and mind teasers. Social pillar is renewing ourselves socially to develop meaningful relationships. To renew yourself emotionally, you can seek to deeply understand other people's, make contributions that improve the lives of others, maintain an abundance mentality. Renewal is the process that empowers us to move along an upwards spirals of growth and change of continuous improvements. So, you have it, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you love this video, press the like button, and if you would like to have more of these videos, remember to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.